everybody's mad at Indiana because their non-conference schedule is not all that tough, but they just won a national championship doing it. So what's the big deal?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On College Crossover of Hoosiers and the Portal. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Brian Smith, host of the Portal podcast and all things Indiana football. Today, we talk some recruiting updates. Brian's going to answer a question comparing the 27 class that just wrapped up and the start of the 28 class for the Hoosiers. Plus, he believes that the Protect College Sports Act is not good for the Hoosiers. We'll talk about that in just a little bit as well. But Brian, you have seen all of the drama, you've heard all the noise, and you have seen that Indiana and Notre Dame's football series for 2030 and 2031 has been canceled. Gonna get your thoughts on that because you have even broader thoughts on what Indiana is or isn't doing in their non-conference slate. But before we do that, I want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. So, your initial thoughts when the series of Notre Dame and USC was scheduled, and then the follow-up about 45 minutes later that Indiana and Notre Dame series got canceled. Your initial thoughts when that all went down on Monday afternoon?
First off, I didn't see the Notre Dame USC thing. I just got on the internet. The first thing that popped up was the IU Notre Dame. So mine So my first in that was like, why would that be? Then I saw that and I'm like, well, that could play into it.
Yeah.
However, Notre Dame USC first off should always play. Let me just throw that out there. Anybody that doesn't understand, you're not a college football fan, leave me alone. Secondarily, I grew up in Indiana. They played one time in my life. One.
Yeah.
At Notre Dame Stadium, 1991. It was a one-off game and that's it. For them to have the rivalry they did in basketball for like 30, 40 years, not to play football is weird. So I was really excited about the series. I'm an Indiana grad. I grew up rooting for Notre Dame. Like it covers everything for me. I want to take my dad to some games and all that. So I was just ticked in general to see that because I think it'd be great for Central Indiana. Like Notre Dame's never played there. In my life, they've never played in Bloomington. Yeah. So that just from the fan standpoint, I hate it. However, like I get the Indiana side, you know, they won with the formula of not playing anybody out of conference last year, which I hate, but they're not the first team to do it.
And they plan on doing it this year and the next year and the next year because let's get this out there now. Okay, the language in articles is that Indiana is the one that initiated the cancellation with Notre Dame. My take has been I think they did Notre Dame a favor because the Fighting Irish wanted to play USC. They wanted to play a 4-game set with USC compared to a 2-game set with Indiana. They both were going to have to take place early in the season. So I think Indiana bailed out Notre Dame and allowed them to play the Trojans. That's my take on it.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Notre Dame doesn't go directly into conference. It's more complicated with their schedule, but I get your point.
Because they're not in a conference, Brian.
Yeah, and I'm totally good with that. We can argue about that another
day.
God. But that's you got to have people that do different things. That's another story. The point is still the same. The game would have been good for the state of Indiana. I'm from Indiana, so I'm biased.
Absolutely.
On that front. Financially, can you imagine what that would have done for Bloomington?
Oh, gosh. Would have been incredible. You could have bought a new quarterback with that.
There's no team that sells out stadiums more than Notre Dame. It's insanity. So that sucks. What I'm really disappointed about is Indiana's at the top of college football now. I don't think Sig's going to go anywhere for a while. And I originally thought he would stay at least through the Notre Dame series and then retire. Like that would be cool. And then a couple of weeks later, after I'm thinking this, they cancel the series. It's really odd, but it is what it is. You can play anybody you want now. If you're Indiana, you've got a ring. You went 16-0. You're the only team to ever do it. So I just find it very odd. I think that they're going to take a lot of shots in recruiting. We'll get into that a little bit in the second stanza. I think it's not going to help them because, like, look, I get Big Ten outside of like Penn State schedule this year. I don't know how they got that schedule. It's pretty hard. Yeah, it's weird. They got
it's bad. Oh, I know. It's bad.
they're going to play a really good schedule most years, but just playing one team out of conference to bring your recruits in and stuff from Indianapolis and Louisville and Chicago, like all that matters.
But you're playing Ohio State and USC, and you're playing big enough games in the Big Ten. And again, our conference plays 9 games where these others haven't been doing it. The SEC, the big one, right? They're just now about to get their taste. And those are the fans that are the most upset, right? Those are the SEC fans are the one that are like, oh, well, we could win national titles too if we didn't play big time out of conference games. It's like, well, you've been playing an 8-conference schedule for years. So let's see if they think this way 365 days from now. So the SEC fans are chirping, but the Notre Dame fans are chirping the scenario too. But I just find it laughable that a team, and I know you're a Notre Dame guy, so I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that from the hate that I've been getting the last couple of days, a team that's not in a conference and cherry picks who they want to play is poking fun and talking crap about Indiana, who's cherry picking and choosing who they want to play. I don't understand the hate for a team that just won the national championship.
I think part of it is the basketball fan side of it. A lot of the Notre Dame people hate IU back. They hated Bob Knight. It goes back to that time. I know that firsthand.
Yeah.
From covering Notre Dame and Indiana, like going to IU. But the other part of it, it's still the opportunity to play that game. Notre Dame has always been the team that travels more than anybody to play games and play everybody. If I don't get to play, Indiana's never been relevant in my lifetime. They've never been relevant in football. No. So this is your chance. It would have been really cool. I think a lot of them want to see that because that's kind of been Notre Dame's mantra for its history. And I'm surprised. Like Signetti doesn't seem like somebody that's concerned about who he's playing. So I find it odd.
Yeah.
That is
and that's what a lot of a lot of people have pointed out, his language and the way he talks about the SEC and he talks a lot of smack. He does. There's no doubt that Signetti will talk more than anybody. Right.
Steve Spurrier. He's this era of Steve Spurrier, period.
Yeah. But when you're winning, you're allowed to do that. And yet people are like, well, yeah, because you're playing Howard in Delaware State. Yeah, but you're also playing Ohio State, Michigan, USC, and Washington this season. You also played Ohio State the Big Ten championship game last year, and you made a run through the college football playoff. I just don't understand where the hate is coming from because I think more teams are going to adopt the strategy of why punish yourself early in the season when you just don't have to. Now, I think it's good for college football that Notre Dame and USC are playing. I think it was great that Indiana and Notre Dame were going to play. I think Ohio State, Texas, those are legendary games, Brian, but they just don't make logical sense for a team trying to win a title anymore. And that's what Signetti and the Hoosiers have figured out.
I think that's going to change this year, and I hope I'm right for all of us. My prediction, and I rarely have faith in anybody that's any way, shape, or form associated with this thing they call the NCAA, even though the committee is technically separate, but you get my point. I think there's going to be more fairness with the scheduling and whatnot. It's really random. Like, you can say whatever you want. I thought Texas and Notre Dame were definitely better than Bama last year, especially at the end of the year. I would have taken either one of them by 7+ over Bama, but Bama got in. And it's just
they got in. Yeah, they got in.
They got in and they averaged 104 yards rushing a game. How did that go for them against somebody that could really score the football? Not well.
Yeah.
Indiana beat them by 5 touchdowns. Yeah. There has to be more balance. If that happens this year, maybe Indiana Notre Dame doesn't have, but you need to schedule some others because it could revert, especially once it's going to go to 24. We all know it's going to go to 24 because money is the end all be all. Indiana's going to need to schedule better because they're going to hose themselves down the road. May not be 27, but by 31, there's going to be a 2014 playoff. That's a very conservative answer. That schedule at the beginning is not going to help them. There's time to change it, but they need to do that at some point. It doesn't have to be Notre Dame, although I'd still like it. They need to play somebody out of conference that's not a patsy.
Yeah,
that's all.
I feel like you could be right on that. I do, but it's so hard to judge what could happen in the next 5 years because things are ever changing literally by the day. And one of those things is the PCSA. You know something's bad when you got to give it an acronym, when you got to put letters in because you don't want to say Protect College Sports Act, because where does this thing stand as it goes to the Senate for voting? Nobody knows. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers and Locked On the Portal is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now, you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. So one of my favorite things is day games, man. On travel day, right? It's a Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, and first pitch is set for 1:10 in the afternoon. Like, man, there's nothing better than that. And then somebody goes deep in the second inning. If you're doing that on FanDuel, you're going to bring home big bucks, okay? So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. All right, welcome back into this Locked On crossover. Again, he is Brian Smith of the Portal Podcast. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. You follow us on those audio podcasting platforms because, Brian, we have college football this month. In the month of August, week 0 games coming up in just the next few weeks. And teams like Indiana opening up fall camp this week across the country. So super, super exciting. And I wish that could be the highlight. I wish that those things were what we were talking about more than the PCSA, the Protect College Sports Act. Because you texted me a couple of days ago and you said, we got to talk about this because I'm worried about what it does for Indiana. And you haven't told me this. I genuinely have no idea what you're about to tell me. I guess just your takeaways from where it is right now, because the Big Ten and the SEC got the language they wanted, right? They were pitching a fit and crying and on the phone with Donald Trump, and apparently they worked it out over dinner or something. I don't know. And now it's going to be voted on in the Senate sometime this week, maybe, apparently, possibly. But I'm really curious on what your thoughts are on how this is going to hurt Indiana in the future if it goes through as it's written.
First off, nothing ever goes through as it's written. It's Congress. Let's be honest. But
yeah, I'm just glad the government's involved, man. Everything's going to be fine.
Oh, I'll get you started on that.
Touche.
With that being stated, Indiana is a portal team until otherwise proven. Transfers, for those who don't know, under the current language in the bill, you get one free transfer, meaning transfer wherever you want. You're eligible immediately, but there isn't the same situation thereafter. Go look at Indiana's classes like anybody else's. A lot of these kids, you're getting them. It's the third time. Well, if they go to their third school, they got to sit out a year. Teams that use the portal more are going to get hurt because there's not going to be near as many transfers.
Yeah.
Is Indiana going to finally be an elite recruiting team? Can we say that for sure? It's never happened before.
It's trending up.
Trending up, but like I'm talking about recruit like Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami.
Yeah.
That those schools, and honestly, especially Southern schools, where there's more talent. I've got a little chart here. Just under 50% of the talent reside in SEC states, plus North Carolina, like just, and especially linemen, it's over 50% to play major college football. Those kids aren't going to leave home knowing if they want to come back home, they got to sit out.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the Damon Wilson kid that transferred from Georgia last year that made Missouri really good, had 9 sacks. He didn't ever went up there. I know it's an SEC school. That's a cold weather school. That's a long way from home. He transferred back down to Miami. He'd have never done that. He'd have went to Miami originally. Like, those kids ain't going to leave as much. I'm curious to see how Signetti and company figure that out. The league that's going to get hurt the most is the Big 12 because they don't recruit linemen for crap. You know, Texas Tech takes like 6 transfer D linemen a year. Let's see how many you can get now. A lot of those kids, again, they're second-time transfers, etc.
Well, once upon a time, the portal was set up that way, right? I mean, you could transfer once. You got one free transfer, which I think everybody, for the most part, in college football agrees is fair, right? You go to a school, and there's exceptions to more than that with a coaching change or whatever the case may be. But in a vacuum, every player should get a chance to transfer one time because you just never know. It may not be what you thought it was. It may not work out. You got injured, whatever. You should get a free transfer. But once upon a time, there was always the rule. It's like, okay, if you want to transfer again, that's fine, but you got to sit out a year. So you really got to think about it. And you're saying, and I think that's right, with this new bill, if it goes through, that rule would be re-implemented.
Well, it used to be the first transfer you had to sit out a year, literally.
Yeah.
That's going to be the second part of this. After having all the free access, your older brother, your friends, people you know getting that's not going to fly well. But it's going to get passed because they're going to get, quote unquote, partial. I don't know how this is real, but partial antitrust exemption to do this, because otherwise they get sued to oblivion. But it's going to get passed. That part
aren't they going to get sued to oblivion anyway? Like,
all the stuff they think they're going to get sued about, they're going to give them antitrust.
God, that's
so it's scary. It's scary, but like I need to know the exact parts. Not trying to get too far derailed here,
right?
But that's the one in particular they know they're going to get sued, and we have to somehow curtail the trade. Like, it's insanity.
So if you are correct in a team that doesn't recruit high school kids at a high level, like, is this going to create the massive separation we saw 20 years ago in college football?
4 or 5 years ago. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I guess I was thinking the 2010s. You know what I mean?
Oh, the 2010s was really bad. But yeah, it can, but there's still NIL. And there's still the ability to outspend. I'm going to talk about this on the Portal podcast on a live show. But the teams like Indiana's got cash. A lot of people don't know they got cash.
Yeah, Indiana's.
If you lose 3 of your top 4 defensive ends, that's a premier position. Let's just use that as an example. For 1 year to the next, that's a lot to replace. Even if you did well with high school recruiting, experience matters at big boy positions in the trenches. If you can't get the kids you want, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So you may have to overpay a little bit. Northern schools in general are going to have a harder time than Southern school because, again, linemen especially, you can ask any college coach that's recruited for 5+ years, down south. That's just the way it is. That ain't changing because culture, kids down south play football. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Those programs, Georgia, like nobody should be happier pretty much than Kirby. He doesn't need any extra help. Okay. Let me just throw that at you.
No, he's doing all right. Yeah.
They're number 2 on my list. Number 1 is actually Clemson for who it helps the most because they don't mess with the portal much anyway. Their kids stay.
Clemson with or without Dabo?
No. I think he'll stay barring now. If they go 5-7 or something this year, we'll have another conversation. Okay. But if they get through this year and he's around and this gets implemented for next year, they don't use the portal much and they don't lose much. Like their kids go there, they stay, they graduate.
Yeah.
It's more old school. You're going to stay unless, they took 10 transfers this year. That's like for them is like, holy cow, that's like 50
that's
for them.
Groundbreaking. Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, the schools that recruit elite have a massive, those kids go to those schools and they stay.
Yeah.
The teams that have more fluent rosters, it's going to be dicey.
Yeah, and I guess the questions that arise from all of this is, and I guess your concerns are if this goes through, if it sticks, and if it's enforced 100% top to bottom. I think there are a lot of people in college athletics because this is more than just a football problem. This is across every sport.
And everything.
There's a lot of people that just don't believe it can be implemented or enforced, right? Because of what the NCAA, and that's why the government's involved, because they're trying to make it a law and legal and things like that. It's just, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of confidence that this goes through and that it's enforced top to bottom at the highest of levels. I just don't think
they got to get it through the Senate, which they will, from what we've heard. But the House, the House is the one I haven't heard anything, and that's a lot more people involved. So it depends on what they want to tack onto it. That's where it gets very dicey. So the Senate's one thing. They'll get through that. The House is a whole nother animal, and I haven't even delved into looking into that. But the antitrust thing will get them out of the problem with the transfer. Otherwise, it would never pass.
Yeah. Well, you're saying that the way for Indiana to overcome the knocks and I guess the what's the best way to put it? Indiana trying to overcome the negative sides, the negative impact of the Protect College Sports Act is to recruit better in high school. Well, good news is, as I mentioned earlier, they're on the way up. Brian, going to ask you a question comparing the end of the 27 class and the start of the 28 class for the Hoosiers. We talk about that and wrap up the show right after this. All right, final segment on this Locked On crossover. Again, he is Brian Smith of the Portal Podcast. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers, and you know better than most that Indiana's high school recruiting has been historically terrible, and now it is where it's at least competitive. And the highlight, of course, was the end of the 2027 class when 5-star wide receiver Monchon Sales picked the Hoosiers. And so my question to you is this: what was more exciting or groundbreaking or impactful? Was it the end of the 27 class with a guy like Monchon Sales, or is it the start of the 28 class with a top 5 quarterback for Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers?
I would go with the latter, but I also get a bonus with this. I just left IMG's, for what it's worth, their media day. They literally have a full-on media day like a pro football team was.
That's crazy.
But they have over 30 P4 players. So
well, that helps. Yeah, that helps.
Like every kid there that's going to start, in the vast majority that are coming right off the bench or SEC level players.
Yeah, it's a small college. I mean, it's a JUCO school, if nothing else.
Yeah, but it's the first, and I've worked there. I've went there every year for 10 years for some kind of event. A lot of kids mentioned Indiana, kind of like just in passing, kind of like, oh, duh.
Okay.
And I didn't like focus on Indiana. I wasn't asking Indiana questions, like listening to some of my colleagues and all that. But IU came up, and the Big Ten has more juice right now. They won the last 3 titles. That makes sense.
Yep.
I think that and Prock committing, it shows a few different things. Number one, they're still spending because you're not going to get elite kids to commit early unless you're spending.
Yeah.
That's 0. I know last year they didn't want to spend as much on a quarterback. I know one of the quarterbacks they were after, and they told him, we're just not going to give you that much. He went to another prominent school. So they've changed on that some. And then finally, how hard can it be if you're getting Monchon Sales, you can get about anybody. So they're doing something right. You can put all that together. They're trending in the right direction. But if going back to the last segment, if the Protect College Sports Act goes through, and you have to look at it from a worst case scenario, you have to plan to take more high school kids, because even if it's just 5-10% fewer players in the portal, that hurts your operation overall. And I think it'll be more than that, honestly.
Yeah.
They should be able to recruit better high school players now. Yeah. You've got a rep, you've got a ring. So they've started good. Now you got to finish it. But like, they have 5 or 6 kids in the 27 class, obviously Sales at the top. They can play for any team. I really like the Purcell kid, the linebacker, DeLathan from down in North Carolina is a stud. Like, they have some players. They should be 10 or 12 every year now instead of like 5 to 7. That's how I look at it. Anything over about 10, 12 guys, even like in Georgia's classes traditionally.
Okay. I got you.
They're usually more special teams guys, or they transfer out, or depth pieces. Your first 10 to 12 is really where your money's made. So Indiana's not that far from it, but they need to take another uptick, because getting 15 to 20 really good portal guys has gotten a lot harder. And they may have to spend more money than they even want to. And again, IU's got cash, but it's going to get real pricey because there aren't going to be that many guys in the portal that you really want. Because I don't know if you saw, there's also legislation in this bill being called the retention for the roster.
Yes.
And it's like going to match, if not even more than what
I think it's going to be more. Yeah. I think because you get like 21.2 million or something now, and you get like 20. I was going to say 28. To retain your roster, which is absurd.
So they're trying to get people to want to stay because it's just so much chaos, which I get. Indiana just needs to retain. When they get a transfer, you're going to see fewer one-hit wonders. You need to take guys with multiple years, if at all possible. Yeah. So the strategy will be unique.
With all of this, as we kind of wrap up the show, I mean, what should Hoosier fans expect? What should they demand? What should Cignetti want and demand from his recruiting staff in terms of rankings every year? I know a team ranking isn't the end-all, be-all, right? You don't hang a banner for having the 7th best class in the country, but there is something to be said about being consistently top 15, top 20, top 10. So where should Indiana be, despite the Protect College Sports Act, whatever happens with that and whatever the future holds? If in a vacuum, Indiana winning games and being a competitor, where should they be in high school recruiting based off what we've seen and how 2028 has already started?
I think minimum top 20 should be the objective, with a caveat that's even more important. Retention with the staff they have and their evaluation skills should be top 3. Meaning, like, let's say you take a group of freshmen 4 years later, you look back through, okay, these are the kids that we, out of this, you don't say it publicly, but these 5 guys we thought were surely going to hit.
Yeah.
How many were we right? They should hit based on their history already as well as anybody, as well as Kirby does, as well as Dabo does, as well as Ryan Day, anybody.
Just based off evaluation, right?
They've done it so well so far. Why would that change? But you're going from portal kids to high school kids, which you have more time to matriculate through your system, and stability is going to be there if they do it. I'd be surprised if that didn't happen, but they're going to see this bill and be like, okay, we're probably going to have to hit the prep ranks a little harder.
Yeah. I think it's everything is pointing towards positivity, but at some point you feel like there will be a dip maybe in recruiting or portal success or whatever. I know you've been really big on that as well, but until that happens, you still got to believe in what Indiana's doing. So even if they don't play power conference teams and non-conference play, Brian, they can still recruit good kids in high school and still find studs in the transfer portal. So, man, appreciate you hopping on as always, folks. Check him out at the Portal Podcast. Same way you find Locked On Hoosiers, you can find him. And for the Portal listeners, same way you find him, you can find me talking all things Indiana athletics. We are back next time, Hoosier fans and college football fans. So until then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.